Hello beautiful people, in today's video I want to share with you guys medications and vaccine charts formats that you need to use for your broilers. So in today's video I will share some details about how to administer medications, antibiotics to your broilers. Yes, broilers specifically. So the way you administer vaccine and antibiotics to your broilers will determine if the illness they are down on will go off or it will still persist. Why am I looking in this direction when the camera is in this direction? Okay, so it will determine if your birds will do well or not. So this is a flock that will be all going off. This is a flock from the previous sets. I was doing a series on them, so these guys will all be going off today. So, and I've been able to have different batches of birds simultaneously in close proximity. Yes, in close proximity. So I will also be sharing the details of how I've been able to manipulate that and become successful at it. You know. So guys, when your birds arrive, when you pick up your birds from the distributor or wherever you booked your birds from, you're expected to disinfect your pen, disinfect it properly. Just in case if you've been rearing birds in that same pen before, you need to disinfect the place very well. And there's one mistake I have been making myself, and lots of small scale farmers are also making. It's not actually a mistake, but it's something that is not really effective. Use of Izal. Izal is not really strong enough to cut down some certain illness when you are disinfecting your pen with it. So I've used it in the past and it has not really given me the kind of results that I desire. So I wouldn't want anyone to continue using that, because bleach contains a high level of chloride. Then when you mix it with water, it becomes a hypochlorite, stuff like that. So Hypo is one of the popular brand in Nigeria that you can use to disinfect your pen. It's effective. Then in the case whereby you've had some strong cases of Salmonellosis and coccidiosis with some viral attack, what you then need to use to disinfect is formalin. But before you use formalin, you need to make sure you evacuate all the birds from that pen, because you cannot be using formalin with birds inside or around there, because it's quite very strong and harsh. So guys, I want to deep down into the vaccination chart like I said. So when your birds arrive from the hatchery, you have prepared the brooding space for them. Then the next thing you need to give them once they arrive is glucose in water. The glucose helps to cut down stress. It helps to cut down stress because these birds have been stressed during transit from where they are coming from the hatchery down to your farm. So you need to make sure you give them anti-stress, something that will help them to get some energy. Glucose is fine, and you can also use some multivitamins too. Some multivitamins also contain some anti-stress that you can use to remedy that. So after giving them for about, let's say, 6 to 8 hours, you can then switch to giving them antibiotics. You can give them antibiotics like oxytetracycline or neomycin, or you can also give them an antibiotic that contains endrofloxacin. So this helps to cut down on any form of early infection that might arise when these birds arrive. So that's what you need to give. You need to give them these antibiotics for like about 3 to 5 days. So before I've been giving them 5 days, but at the point and I realized that giving your birds too much of antibiotics is not really ideal. So I give them for 3 days. Then after the 3 days, I give them multivitamins. Then on the 7th day, I give them gomboro. Gomboro, you need to administer gomboro to your birds. Helps to cut down on a viral attack. So after giving them gomboro, there's a process on how to administer gomboro to your birds. So I will encourage you to check out that video that I've done on how to administer gomboro vaccine or Lasuta vaccine to your birds. So you give them that gomboro on the 7th day. Then after that, you don't give them another medication that day or multivitamin. Then after that, the following day, you give them multivitamin. Then you can continue with a medication for coccidiosis, a preventive measure for coccidiosis. So after giving them that medication for preventive, or maybe if coccidiosis have crept in, just like in rainy season in Nigeria and in some most West African countries, cases of coccidiosis always build up because the weather is quite moist. Yes, the weather is quite moist, so it's not as dry as expected to dry up the litters whenever it gets wet. So that's why you need to make sure that you give your birds dry litter, you place them on a dry litter, and any part that is wet by chances, you make sure you evacuate those wet areas, because those coccidiosis bacteria build up on wet platform. So you give them medications to prevent coccidiosis after giving them Gumboro vaccine, maybe like from the day 10th till around day 13. That's for like 3 days. Then you give them multivitamin or plain water before the day of giving Lasota vaccine. So take note that you don't give your birds antibiotics and switch to vaccines immediately. So you need to give them at least 24 windows withdrawal after removing the antibiotics before giving them vaccine, because you are not supposed to give if you give them vaccine immediately after giving them the antibiotics in your system will not allow that vaccine to work properly. Take note, don't give your birds vaccines immediately after you withdraw antibiotics from them, because antibiotics has a way of countering those vaccines from working effectively in their system. So give them a window period of about 24 hours, giving them multivitamin to help build their immune system before giving them before giving them vaccine. And after giving them vaccine, it's also good to give them multivitamin the following day to help, for the stress, to cope for the stress, because before giving your birds vaccine, you must have stressed them by starving them of water, because most farmers starve their birds of water. Even if you don't starve them of water, if you're picking them to drop those vaccines in their eyes, there's every tendency that those birds are being stressed out in the process of picking them. So you need to make sure that you give them anti-stress multivitamin that will help for the anti-stress. So while you're doing all of this, you need to make sure that your biosecurity in your farm is strong. Yes, you need to make sure you have a strong biosecurity in your farm. So like in my own farm, I don't have a food dip here because I'm using an incomplete building. Like you can see here, it's an incomplete building. Over here are Nolas that are in here, and I have some Broilers that are in here too as well. So, and this is an incomplete building, like I said. So there are other chickens free ranging outside and some other farm animals. So if I peradventure keep the food deep in at the entrance here, there's every tendency they might go and feast on the water, which might contaminate them. So what I do is that I have a container where I put the disinfectant that I use in disinfecting my hands and my footwear before stepping into the pen. So this is a way of trying to cut down any form of illness. And if you have different batches of flocks of birds that you're taking care of, you need to make sure you take care of the smaller ones first before going to the bigger ones, because the smaller ones do not have a strong immune system to fight against some illnesses that the bigger ones do have. So this is one of the cheat code on how to run that. I'll do a video on how to raise different flocks of birds, especially broilers, at the same time. So guys, after giving them Lasota on the 15th day or the 14th day, depending on when you stop giving them antibiotics, then it's also advisable to give them medication for CRD, or you give them a medication and antibiotics that will help cut down any form of salmonellosis in your family, just in case you have any case, because most times salmonellosis usually springs up around from day 14 or day 13 upwards, so up till before those birds get to 21 days, because most times salmonellosis occurs during brooding. Yes, so you have to give them another set of antibiotics to help cut down cases like that. But in the case whereby they don't have that, you can give them medication for CRD, preventive medication, or you continue on coccidiosis medication if you have cases of coccidiosis still persisting. So then on the 21st day, you can decide to give them another booster dose of the Gumboro or the Lasota. This also helps to boost the immune system to be much stronger. Then afterwards, you just give your birds more of multivitamins and for them to get their build the immune system. Take note again, don't mix multivitamins with antibiotics, because the antibiotics will not, in fact, because the multivitamin has some vitamins that do not allow the antibiotics to work properly. Let me state it again, do not mix antibiotics and multivitamins to give them to your birds simultaneously, because multivitamins contain some vitamins that will not allow the antibiotics to work effectively. So there are two things I've pointed out in this video that you need to always put into consideration. Before giving your birds vaccine, you need to make sure you withdraw antibiotics from them for at least 24 hours. Then when you're giving your birds antibiotics, do not mix it with multivitamin. That is not really good. So there are some antibiotics that are not good to mix them simultaneously. Yes, there are some antibiotics that are not good to mix them simultaneously. I will drop on the comment section some of them that you do not need to mix them together, because when you mix them together, they tend to counter the effectiveness of each of them. And sometimes there are some medications that is necessary to mix them together to get a more effective result. Especially if you're treating salmonellosis, you need to mix a medication that contains enrofloxacin and oxytetracycline. So these two antibiotics together will cut down any form of salmonellosis in your pen. And whenever you have a strong severe case of coccidosis, you need to give them medication that contains amprolium and oxytetracycline. So there are some medications that contain only amprolium and one other content that do not contain oxytetracycline. So, but you can use that as a preventive measure. But whenever you have a chronic case where your birds are already stooling blood, you give them medication that contains amprolium, oxytetracycline and vitamin K. So this vitamin K will help their gut to build up their intestine levels, because that coccidosis goes down into their intestine to affect the birds. So the vitamin K helps in the healing process of that intestine. So I hope this video is of help to you. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel so that this video gets to reach out to more people to enjoy what you're enjoying. I hope you guys like my outfits. Yes, I just got a new farm kit for myself. I want to be looking nice when I'm doing videos for you guys. Let me show you guys what I've got. Yes, let me show off my coverall. This is my new coverall. It looks nice. Very soon we'll be doing a branded coverall. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.